Live. There, holy shit. Took like 10 seconds,
Whoa!
but
Hey,
we are
what up?
live. Let me hide the alcohol. Oh, wait. Um, Folks, hello and welcome to Talking Crit. Yes, I'm your bartender in the OSR, Eric Tenkar. Yes, I'm wearing my glasses because, as you can tell from the door behind me, I'm not in my normal abode. I am in the
Whoa!
Pocono. I
The
am
Poconos.
working off a laptop and my iPad, and to read your comments and get them up on the screen uh, like this, I actually need my glasses on to read it. So forgive me. And stage right, right? Yeah, stage right. Is none other than Bad Mike Battleotto.
Hello,
Woohoo!
folks.
So
Well, no,
no,
sorry, no Luke Gygax tonight, so you can all go home if you want to.
yeah,
No, don't
we
go home. No,
no,
stay,
no, no, no,
stay with
no,
us.
no. But we
Yeah, stay with
figured
us.
um, listen, next week I believe we have Joe Block, the Great Hawk Grognard, on for next
Yes.
week. We had to take a little bit of an intermission between after Luke. You know, nobody wants to be the one on immediately after Luke.
You
You
can't
know,
follow the show. You can't follow Luke like that. No, you can't.
so we figured. And besides which, it works out pretty well because there's big news today, and we're going to
Lots of
talk
things to
about.
talk about. Yeah,
And
lots
there's
of
other
things to talk
events.
about. I've got
So
so I'm wearing my Mr. Rhino T-shirt. So I'm gonna pull back the curtain because what are we doing? We're just talking tonight. So I was in a punk band in the '80s called Mr. Rhino. Yes, I know that's hard to believe and almost impossible to believe. So um, our drummer kept all the recordings alive,
oh man,
and 20 years later, no, 30 years later, we all had a big party and he invited us and he gave us all a 5 CD set of everything we'd ever recorded. The bad, and the ugly. One of the other guys had made up a concert T-shirt from. It's got the dates. It's got the dates on here. I mean, it's just a joke. It's a joke. But yes. So we were. I was in a punk band, and this is my rock and roll T-shirt, which I'm very proud of. Very proud of having that made. But we actually had another meeting. Our guitarist died about a month ago, and so we had
oh
a
shit.
very bittersweet meeting at a local bar where we played about 3 or 4 of the songs, and actually I got to sing. I sang 3 of the songs, which was not very
Wow.
many. We had a big. It was a big band. There was like about 6 or 7 of us in it, and it was all friends, and so we just come on. Different people would come on different times. So I sang 3 of the songs. So when we did our memorial to our friend Chad, I came on and did my showstopper called "You're Never Home." And well, one of the singers, so we had a female singer, and she went on to fame and fortune with Disney Cruises,
Oh
and she
really?
worked for them. Yeah, she worked for them about 20 years. Beautiful, incredible voice. She flew in from Florida to appear at the memorial, so that was actually really cool. But yeah, Chad was a great guy, good guitarist. His downfall was he was a heavy drinker because band guys, what do they do? Drugs, women, booze. Except I got
Right.
none of the. I got none of the women, and I wasn't interested in drugs. So
You got the booze.
yeah, I got the booze. I got the booze.
There you go.
And unfortunately, his liver gave out way too early. He died way too early. A great guy. So just another one of those admonitions to take care of yourself and watch your health, and make sure that you're doing things in moderation and not overdoing them. And I say that as somebody who is extremely overweight and who has been just desperately trying to keep his weight in check the last few years, but is desperately failing.
Right.
But I'm aware of it, and I'm doing what I can. I worked out today. I try to work out when I remember when I can, but it's tough, man. It's tough when you get to be our age and the things you used to do. I mean, I'm sure you were a hard drinking police officer back in your day, Eric. I mean, you
Oh,
probably had a
I
drink or
I
two.
can
And
tell stories that at least the statute of limitations has gone past. But I probably, you know what? Yeah, I might tell these stories like on a Thursday night Discord hangout, but I'm not going to tell them on a recorded show like this.
probably a good idea. Yeah.
Suffice to say, um, I've had guardian angels look out for me numerous times in my life, and not just recently, but earlier in my life. And you do learn lessons from that. One lesson that I learned, and I can tell this part of the story. Um, I had a wake up call, but you have a routine with the people you work with, and your boss expects to see you at the bar on a Saturday night after that 6 o'clock shift. You got to. Otherwise, you're not part of the crew, right? You're not socializing. But I had a wake up call, and I got there 10 minutes before everybody else did. I knew my bartender pretty well, Bernie. She was also the owner. She was Irish, and I said, Bernie, I need to ask a favor. And she looked at me, and she's like, "You're early." I'm like, "Yeah, I know I'm early." She goes, "What?" And she smiles. She goes, "What's the favor?" Well, I always drink Spaten. 16.9 ounce bottle of Spaten. I used to pound them. I go, "Listen, I'm gonna come in, and I'm gonna have my Spaten when I come in. And what great." She goes, "But after that, I'm gonna ask to switch over to Coors." She goes, "Okay." And it's gonna be Coors in a glass because they didn't do tap. And I go, "And it's gonna be Coors NA." And she went,
Mm.
"You had that moment?" I go, "I had that moment. I'm not. It's not that I'm not going to be drinking. I'm going to have my first one, but I got to drive home after this, and it's never going to happen to me again. What almost happened." So for the next
I
year, nobody
oh yeah.
knew I was only having one. God bless.
I had a I had a hard drinking group I hung out with in the '80s, and to give you a little, I'm really surprised my liver and kidneys are as good as they are. I mean, they really are good because I'm tested every year. But I used to drink. There was a summer, I want to say it's summer of '86, where I drank 2 bottles of tequila a week, and I'm not a really big tequila fan, which is weird. But we would go to the liquor store on Friday. We'd buy 2 bottles. We'd buy all our booze, and I'd buy 2 bottles
Yeah.
of tequila. I'd drink one Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday. It'd be gone. The other one was for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Oh, that,
And
that one you taste. That one with
yeah,
the yeah.
that's what and so that would last. I know why. I chose tequila because tequila is the one booze that's never given me a hangover, and I've never got sick from drinking it. Everything else, at one point or other, I've had issues with. So I did this all through this was like all through the '80s. I would drink 2 bottles of tequila a week, and I went to a wedding. I want to say it was the mid to late '80s, and I had so much to drink that I don't remember getting home. Now it wasn't very far. It was probably 2 miles away from my house because it was very close to my house. But I'm 1 minute I'm at the party, next minute I'm at home in my bathroom. One of my best friends at the time, a girl named Stephanie, who was like my little sister all through the '80s. We hung out together. She's knocking on the door, going, "Are you through yet?" And I'm like, "What? Where am I?" She's like, "You're in the bathroom floor. My boyfriend and I came in and we found you on the floor and there passed out. So we thought that was probably a good place for you to be there." Did not remember getting home. Drove home. I mean, God knows how my story might have changed. Had something terrible. So that
Oh
was
yeah.
my wake up call. That was my wake up call, and I said, never again. And I never drank to excess. I had that little thing in the back of my head whenever I would drink too much, and that'd be like, "Nah, I don't need any more." And I
Yeah.
would turn down another drink because that was scary. That's scary. I mean, that's not quite blackout drunk, but it was. I remember bits and pieces, but that wasn't good. And
No.
and you know what? The ones of us that live to be our age are the ones that have that moment, really. Whether it be booze, drugs, pills. I mean, women. I mean,
Yeah. You got
sex,
you got to
whatever.
go.
You have that,
You got to learn by living and screwing up, I guess. And then if you don't learn, those are the ones that don't move on. Thank
I
God
mean,
I
some
learned.
people, I know friends who their wake up call was waking up next morning next to their ex wife, and they're like, "Oh my God, what the hell have I done?"
You get
So
their ex for a reason. Yeah. You don't want to.
yeah, no, you don't want to go back and dig in that snake pit anymore. So yeah, so there's and then you get to our age and we already have so many issues, both Eric and I, that
Yeah.
I'm just thankful that I didn't take it further during those years and get even worse because God knows where either of us could be.
Oh, God help us. I mean, I, I'll talk more about this weekend. But listen, with that with the miracle stent, as my surgeon called it. Uh, Mike, you'll understand this. I went out to dinner last night with Rach. I had meat tortellini with Italian bread, a nice sauce, and my blood
Oh,
sugar started out at 90 and it topped at 130. And I was like, how the hell is this not? You're like, I'm like a normal person. So, but more about that on Gamers Health. But in the meantime, now that we've broken the ice, now that we've told our
that's our warm. Yeah, this is our warm up. This is our we had our warm up.
Hey, let me rip this Band-Aid off. Again, we do have news in the industry.
Oh yes.
So, which do we want to touch on? Because I mean, we can touch on the elephant in the room, which I think is the biggest news of the day, and that can probably get us through about, I don't know, an hour of the show just by talking about it and where it could go.
Yeah. Well. I mean, okay. So we've got the big news of the day, which is the D&D Beyond. I mean,
yes.
We can spend any time talking about new TSR Day, or is that dog been kicked so many times that the
well, no, okay. Well, here, when it comes to, in case you've missed it, folks, Star Frontiers not going to happen, or not genuine, or no good, or New Genesis. Sorry, it takes me a while to work through what NG could stand for. Neutral good, right?
Yeah,
there you go.
Sure.
Dave Johnson, I think over the weekend or earlier this week, announced that it's shipping, but he didn't know any details about the shipping or when people could buy it. And then yesterday said, yeah, we're doing a play test. So I think you do a play test before you actually print the product. But apparently it isn't a printing. It's a limited printing of the beta, which I'm going to suspect, knowing Dave, you're going to have to sign your firstborn child over, kind of like sacrificing your child over like Passover. Like the angel of death is going to come to your house if you leak any of the Star Frontier stuff. So just know. Oh, and by the way, if he's blocked you on Facebook and you're still in the group, but he personally blocked you, you won't be able to apply for the page.
Oh.
No.
But can we say that Eric and I have sources, inside sources that
knowledgeable sources. I think knowledgeable covers the basis.
So this Star Frontiers, folks,
it's not ready for prime time.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't exist in any printable form. We know this. Don't ask us how. We have to kill you. Blah blah blah.
I can tell you. I can tell you this right now. Look at Dave Johnson and his social media posts. Look at Dave Johnson and his fiction, and you look at that and you say this man could put together an RPG. Nothing against you, Dave, but you don't have it in you to complete this, and it wasn't ready. It wasn't ready for TSRCon. They actually kind of pretend it didn't even happen. Like we never promised to release TSRCon. Thank God nobody signed up. 800 people showed up to the con.
But nobody wanted to play the new Star Frontiers.
And nobody wanted to sign up online because people don't sign up for cons online.
No, they don't know how to do that. So look, this is. I mean, it's kind of fun watching them run around and make excuses because we know that there is no Star Frontiers New Genesis. Don't ask us how we know it. We just know it. It doesn't exist in any printable form. So watching them run around, make goofy excuses is kind of hilarious, really, in a lot of ways because it's kind of like, okay, what excuse next? If they have to go into the Gareth Skarka book of excuses.
Right.
Okay, what did Gareth say? Oh, dead cat. Oh, my cat died. I'm broken up.
You know what? Now, let's have a little fun. And me and Mike did not discuss this ahead of time, but I'm going to put a bounty of $100 in drive-through RPG monies to anybody that can get me a PDF copy or a scanned copy of whatever beta actually shipped for this playtest. If you can get me a copy of that and send it to me, email at tenkars.tavern@gmail.com. First person that does. And I won't out you, okay? But I will say, hey, contest is closed. First person gets $100 drive-through RPG.
Do we know that any betas actually went out, or is this just a fishing expedition?
I don't know. Dave is saying that he's going to run this. Well, he's going to do a video to show you how to create a character. So you could probably
Sure.
say it's reasonable to suspect that character generation is included in whatever Dave has figured out. I'm almost willing to bet that ASCO, the spy agency from his fiction, makes an appearance in Star Frontiers.
Oh
If
dear.
it doesn't, because it's so mapped out, if you saw the video, by the way, Dave, I know you deleted the video. Multiple people sent me the copies of the video. I know you watched all this. So I have the full length video. I will probably share it on my channel with commentary. So it's transformative. So you can't get me the copyright notice. But it's so detailed, Mike, that you almost are guaranteed either it's going to be in Star Frontiers or he's writing a new top secret New World Order hack that's going to have ASCO in it, because nobody puts that much effort into spy erotica backstory. So, which by the way didn't write supposedly.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you might as well make that $1,000 because I'm just kidding. But no, because I don't think it exists. I don't think you're going to see it. But $100.
Listen, I know there are people. I know people that have already told me I am going to try to get into this. I'm gonna apply to be in his beta group, because he's saying on one hand he was saying that everybody who applies gets in, but on the other hand he's saying there's only a limited number of books. So I guess whatever King Codes could print out, I guess he's mailing out physical copies. I don't know. By the way,
it's not Star Frontiers though. What? Don't.
No, it isn't. It could be ASCO. It could be
ASCO.
You know,
and we won't stop and explain what that is. You have to read. You have to keep up on Facebook to find out what.
Yeah, no, you gotta listen. You gotta to follow Dave. By the way, you should unblocked, and if you follow Dave, and you have me in your friends list, I'm pretty sure that you will.
Yeah,
you get blocked.
You're gonna get chain blocked along the way for that. So
yeah.
All right. So no spent on that. That was it. We spent enough time with
obligatory time spent on it.
With stuff that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So you probably been following this even closer than I have, but I have some thoughts on it. Go ahead and talk about the news of the last few days. Or the big news.
Hold on a second.
Was that your menstrual cycle thing?
Yes, actually, I was saying I hope it's not. I hope it's not low blood sugar. No, some reason my signal got lost. Okay. I'm at 93.
Well, I remember last time you were in the Poconos, you got cut off. I don't want you getting.
No. I've got everything plugged in, charging.
Okay. All right.
I got my phone plugged into my computer to be my hotspot because the house internet blows chunks. So we're gonna go to the Hasbro deal.
Yes, that's big news, and we're gonna explain why it's big news.
It is huge news, potentially in multiple fields of the hobby. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I've seen people cover different parts already today, but I don't know if it's all been pieced together like we plan on piecing together. Wizards of the Coast and D&D Beyond. James, Hasbro / Wizards of the Coast is acquiring D&D Beyond from Fandom. They're not acquiring Fandom. They're just taking D&D Beyond and the development team of D&D Beyond. They are paying $146.3 million. That's like that's like a Dr. Evil amount. You know, it's like
what a absolute. I mean, that has got to be beyond their wildest dreams. They thought their company would be worth that much.
And it's not for the company.
That's just for that. The company's still there. They're everything. They just get a big check in the mail. Here you go.
We just want this one thing. So, from Business Wire, I'll read the first paragraph. Hasbro Incorporated today announced that it is acquiring D&D Beyond, the leading digital tool set and game companion for the company's groundbreaking fantasy franchise, Dungeons and Dragons from Fandom. Fandom, the world's largest fan platform, has owned and operated D&D Beyond since 2019. So now, 3 years in, this is the profit they're making off it. and has grown the direct-to-consumer business to be the leading role-playing game digital tool set on the market with close to 10 million registered users. Hold on to that number, folks, because it's important. This strategic acquisition for 146.3 million in cash will further strengthen Hasbro's capabilities in the fast-growing digital tabletop category, while also adding veteran talents to the Wizards of the Coast team, and accelerating efforts to deliver exceptional experiences for fans across all platforms. Now, this is important for a number of reasons. It means that Wizards won't have to pay out, or will take the full share of the income that is being made by D&D Beyond. And obviously, they expect a huge boost when the movie comes out, right? This is all being done ahead of time to secure, and they've got the money to use, okay? D&D's been growing. The pandemic has only helped D&D, okay?
Yes.
But 10 million people, and this is all going to come together, but 10 million people use D&D Beyond. And 10 million people also happen to use Roll20. Over half of them play 5e on it. Now, they've secured, this is just, I have no inside information, but they've secured their 10 million with D&D Beyond. We know last summer, when they had their survey out, certain people were getting part of the survey that others weren't getting. It was all about a potential VTT and what you would want. Well, you're not going to program it with what you had in-house, but with the team behind D&D Beyond, and you integrate it within D&D Beyond, well, you're targeting those 5 million Roll20 players that play 5e. I'm not even counting in Fantasy Grounds. The potential is huge.
So and this is really big because this has a lot of this, like the stone thrown in the water and all the ripples, et cetera, et cetera. This is going to affect a lot of different things. Other companies, like especially Drive-Thru. Drive-Thru is going to have. It's going to be interesting to see what Drive-Thru does, because this could potentially shove Drive-Thru out the door. Pushing D&D products or reprinting, because the reprints, they've been reprinting like actual physical printing products of old D&D modules for a couple years now, and they also do all the D&D stuff as downloads. Well, WotC might not need them anymore.
Well, and before you go, well, but they got this deal in DM's Guild, and they make so much money off it. Remember, 20%, I believe it's probably 20% of that DM's Guild money gets cut off the top and goes into the pockets of one bookshelf. Yep. Okay? So, yeah, it's a huge money maker for one bookshelf. But, and when it comes to Wizards of the Coast showing loyalty to one bookshelf, what did they do earlier this century? When they felt that their work was being pirated, and the PDFs that they had up there, by the way, shitty quality scans.
How dare you? There's actually pirating. What's the line from Casablanca? Gambling. There's gambling on these premises. Here's your winnings, sir. I mean, that's kind of the same thing. Pirating the internet. They're pirating on the internet. My God, we must pull all our products off. They pulled their products rather than let them be possibly pirated. Which you can't stop pirating. Come on.
But not only pulled the access. If you had bought products, your access.
I had bought.
I had too. And all of a sudden, if you weren't paying attention, like you had like 5 days to download your shit, and then you had no access to it. So if you don't think Wizards of the Coast would do it, I got news for you.
I had everything in PDF, so I'd actually downloaded it. But you're right, and the PDFs were terrible. They look like somebody's ne'er-do-well 17-year-old grandson had been given a module and said, "Hey, run a scan of this." Yeah, whatever. And page 1, and page 2, and page 3. And I mean, they were bad. Yeah. The scans were terrible. So it wasn't like you were, you had premium product to begin with, but then being told, well, you bought this, but yeah, you really don't have access to it anymore. And I was probably one of those few people that had bought a lot of products, because I remember having pretty much almost all the classic products, and probably a lot of the newer second edition items too at the time. But that's not important to them. They'll pull the license in a second. That's not
right.
something they're
So
about.
Yajin wants to know, it's like, how could this hurt drive-through? Well, if you lose the DMs Guild, which I'm going to just throw this out there, is probably the single most important revenue generator for one bookshelf. Don't know what the numbers are, but if we look at the Roll20 numbers, right, half of the 10 million player base of Roll20 plays 5e. Figure half of the money being generated on drive-through is 5e money, mostly through the DMs Guild. Remember, the DMs Guild is licensed by Wizards of the Coast. You pull that and you move it over to your own server, your own marketplace. You no longer give OBS that 20%. You keep it yourself. And maybe by doing that, instead of the creators only getting 50%, maybe now they can get 60%. But Wizards is keeping 40, not splitting it with anybody. So
it could be a seismic change in the industry, because like I said, I mean, drive-through has been, I don't want to say untouchable for a while, but that they controlled everything, right? I mean, you had to be on good terms with drive-through. I mean, drive-through was able to do stuff like ban people, and those people were screwed. There was nowhere else they could go. I mean, when you get banned from drive-through, you have to come up with your own platform at that point. And some of the people that we know and love have been banned by drive-through over the years, and they have they've really nothing they can do about that. There's nowhere else they can really go.
Right. I mean, if drive-through in a lot of ways is like Kickstarter. It isn't just a way to sell; it's a way to market. And you get on to RPG Now. There's a built-in recognition to being up on. Sorry, I'm dating myself. When you're up on drive-through RPG, there's a built-in recognition to it. There's like, oh, look at that, you made a sales list. Well, now, boom, you're there. Oh, well, hottest small press, boom, you're there. Newest print. There's a lot of ways they show off product. And listen, I know it does get business because I know what I make as an affiliate. And my affiliate monies this year compared to last year, I'm probably doing twice as much on a given day than I was.
I mean, so something like Torchlight still does okay, right? I mean, I'm sure you still sell a copy of
Torchlight. Does occasional sales, but when I first go on sale, it'll be a hot seller. Now, a couple of issues a month. Although, by the way, just as a little sneak, Continual Light is going to, I believe, proofing right now. So maybe we should see it in a couple of weeks. And I've got James Spahn writing material, which will either be in Torchlight or in some one-offs to support Continual Light.
Oh, James.
I know that hack.
Oh, this is the old. That's the old. Light. And we have with a brand new awesome cover by Jay Shields coming out too. So that's great.
It's going to be digest sized because I know everybody wants digest sized, and I'll be honest, I like digest sized a bit better myself. But it has to be a typeset that my fucking olding eyes, my elderly
eyes, eyes of Irish eyes. These Irish eyes are elderly.
These Irish eyes are elderly. I can't see shit. That's why I'm leaning in so much, because wearing my glasses is getting annoying. So I have to take my glasses off.
It's kind of dark there in the Poconos. There, it looks like you don't have a really great light there. You need to get
I don't. I have light over here, but nothing behind me. I mean, I guess I could turn on the porch light.
That reminds me of when I go to South Padre Island. I always can't see because the lights on there aren't that great. And that's what it looks like you're having. It looks like you're having issues there too. The same thing I have in South Padre Island. You have in the Poconos there.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I'd have to record this in a day, and maybe we get it a little bit better. But yeah,
Yaljin asks, how do you get banned from Drive-Thru RPG? Well, let's talk to our friend Zach Smith, and we'll we can ask him how he got banned. But basically, you know what? They can pretty much ban you for whatever they want to ban you for. Is what it turns out. They have terms of service there, but I think they really only enforce it when they want to enforce it. Hasn't Wenger gotten banned before? I know Zach stuff's banned.
I don't know. I don't think V has gotten put under, I believe, the what do you call it? The adult paywall or whatever. Like the adult content. I think that's his default now.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that hurts because you don't show up on certain searches when people are looking for you, or you got to press an extra button for your, if you, I want to check out the latest Chalt. I hope I'm saying it right. I'm over 18. It's one of those deals.
Right. But I know Zach got banned. Did Lamentations? Did some of their stuff get banned also? I can't remember what the deal was.
Lamentations, it was Zach's stuff that got pulled. So
it wasn't all Lamentations, it was just Zach's stuff.
No, yeah. Now, that being said, since we're talking about Lamentations, Mike, did I send you the video? I probably didn't.
Which one?
The Raggy video.
Oh, is this a new one?
Yes. You didn't see
it? I've been keeping up with him on social media though. It's been a wild ride on social media lately, but I do not.
It's him sitting naked in a chair with his latest book, Blocking with Privates.
Yeah, he's turned to Schlockmeister. He's slowly entering into Wenger territory.
Actually, no, because Wenger has never done anything of that level. So I've got to say, and listen, I still remember the picture of the early Raggy picture of James like laying out in the bed in a kind of sexy pose, not really sexy. I'm just saying attempting a sexy pose. You know what? That was comedic. This, I don't know, what is it, 10 minutes long? It was disturbing to watch.
Yikes.
And not just because it was a disturbing video. It was just disturbing that anybody would record that.
Yeah, you're right. I'm looking right now. Zach is back on Drive-Thru. So apparently they took him off.
Drive-Thru, really?
Yeah, Red and Pleasant Land. I found Frostbitten and Mutilated. I'm going to look for a couple other things. But yeah, apparently he is back on. So he was only banned for a while, and then he wasn't. I guess he's not naughty anymore. They don't think he's naughty.
But that's a stealth move. They never announced.
Yeah, Maze of the Blue Medusa's up also. So yeah, Zach is back on Drive-Thru RPG.
Lamentations stuff that's back.
Oh no, it's everything. Everything's.
So now does that mean that he's allowed to write new stuff?
No, it just means that they think everybody's not looking at him right now, and they're not going to. They secretly slipped it in there without thinking anybody would really care now, because he is not the controversy du jour anymore. So
no. Well, I mean, we can't say that new TSR will, because even if they put out stuff, and by the way, hopefully in the next couple of days, I'll get a phone call from a good friend of mine saying, "Hey, the shit that we ordered for you has arrived." So I couldn't order it to me, and I can actually get my copy of Dungeon Crawl.
Did you see the pictures of all the happy owners of Dungeon Crawl at the Grand Rapids Comic Con? Apparently, now there's pictures of people holding.
It's all hashtag TSRCon.
We don't really know if they bought the box. We saw pictures of people holding a box. So I don't know if they actually bought. If they turned around and looked at the back cover and saw the spelling mistakes, they might have got worried. Exposing their children to that would lead to them, not being able to speak English very well. But
it's our public education system at work, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's
true. Yeah. Very true.
But I mean, it was pointed out to me that the company that says that the reason why you can't get tracking information for your orders is because we're old school. We don't understand how to do tracking information. Takes photos that exposes the addresses of the people they're shipping things to, inadvertently doxing their own customers, which is, oh, God help us, Dave. If it's empty, was it buyer beware or covet emperor or some crap like that? I'll find out when it gets delivered to me from my friend who's like, dude, you can't order this to yourself. It'll come with feces and like anthrax.
Yeah, DNA stains all over it. Ugh,
Yeah,
yikes. Ugh,
God help me.
yeah,
Maybe
no,
maybe
no.
I'd have an asshole manuscript taped to the bottom of the box.
Mm.
That would be interesting.
Maybe they would have put the beta version of Star Frontiers on there, and you could have been one of the first people to read it. I mean, you never know. I mean,
Well,
I doubt that would have happened, but you never know.
all I know is with Star Frontiers. Before we go back to the D&D Beyond deal, all I know is that with Star Frontiers, I have, I don't know, about 4 or 5 people that I personally know that are all trying to get into this game, and they're all talking about, dude, I'm gonna whatever I can grab for you. But again, we're putting out the bounty. We're putting out $100 bounty. So, and my online friends are welcome to grab that bounty too. Whoever gets stuff to me first on this makes good, man. Makes good. I don't expect anybody to be able to.
I think you might have a better chance of getting a unicorn horn, but whatever. Give it a shot.
Yeah, John Miller. Ragged said the first buyer of his new book. Ragged said would get the special copy. That was the one that was pressed up against his private.
No, Raggy. I don't want the special copy.
Does it come with collectible head cheese? I just want to know.
Collectible little tight little hairs all over the.
Oh yeah, well those aren't hair. No. Those are bookmarks.
Okay.
Those are ragified bookmarks, and they're rarefied. On top of that,
has anybody? I haven't read any of the new stuff Raggy's been coming out with through his company. I'm worried that he's going more schlock over how good it is, because he has been claiming that this stuff's the craziest stuff ever, man. It's going to get me banned. Ha ha ha. And so that worries me, because I'd rather him just look at manuscripts, put out good product, and not worry about whether or not it's going to be the most unbelievably disgusting thing ever put out by anybody. I'd rather just put out product and see how it works out. So, I don't know. I've read some reviews of some of the stuff, and it sounds like it's about the same as always. But
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I Rage bought me, was it 2 years ago for my birthday in 2020, that summer, when he had the everything must be sold because
right. Oh yeah.
Government's gonna take away my business because I can't repay these loans. Mm-hmm. So we spent a couple $100 and stuff, and you know where it went? Right on the shelf. Went right on the shelf.
You didn't read anything? You didn't look at it and say, "Hey."
I didn't read anything because I realized after I got it that I haven't had anything really, really good that was published by James. They all look good. Don't get me wrong. Physical quality was great, but usable in a campaign, nothing there was really usable. So I was like, all right, I did my deed. I'm not doing that deed again. I just. You can only throw so much at stuff that you are absolutely never going to use. I could throw money at stuff that I may never use, but stuff that I will never use, no, I can't do that anymore. May is one thing. May is like maybe not. But yeah, I know I'm not going to use it. I guess it's throwing money away. I'm retired. I got to watch my money a little bit better than when I can make overtime and go, I want to go hog wild. All right, I'm going to stay a couple of days extra at work and make some extra money. Now it's like, crap. What am I going to do? Sell my body?
I don't see a lot of. Whoa, hey. I don't see a lot of stuff that I look at stuff and I don't. Maybe everything I'll ever need's already been published, because I see stuff now and not a lot of stuff gets me like, yeah, you know what? I really like to see how that is, because I'm like you. A couple years ago, I got the PDF for Arden Vol, which I was really excited about because it's the most gigantic mega dungeon ever published of all time.
I have the
And
physical
so
copy. I
I've got
have it.
the
I got it
it
in
looks
paper.
the physical copy looks beautiful. The
It does.
PDF I got that. It was amazing for what I looked at. I have no time to read it. It's gigantic. It is a mega dungeon to put on mega dungeons to, and it's just got so much detail and it goes into so much minute detail. And I read a couple pages. I'm like, this is really cool. I am never going to use it, but
Right.
it's really interesting to read and just see how, somebody that really, really just went all out on a mega dungeon.
It's
But
well written. It's
I'm not
well
going to
laid
read
out.
it. I'm not going to read
I
it. I'm not going to have
started.
time to sit down and do the whole thing.
I started reading it, and then it went to a shelf. And Rachel's like, "How much did that cost?" I went, "Don't worry about it."
Don't ask the questions you don't want to know the answer to.
Yeah, you don't want to know, but it
Oh,
didn't come
yeah.
out. It didn't come out of the checking account. It came out
Yeah,
of my drive-through affiliate money.
oh yeah.
I went a little hog wild, but I'd rather give away those money. So again, get get me the current Star Frontiers manuscript. You get $100 bonus.
100.
100, and I won't identify you, so
No.
Justin can't threaten to sue you for violating an NDA or an NDL or a Justin Lanasa agreement where you can get some.
They don't even know who. They still don't know who Chad is. So they're not gonna be able to find out who you are. Don't worry. Don't just
come on. I mean, I suspect who Chad is, but even I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, Chad had some good tweets yesterday too. Had some interesting tweets. So
Chad was winding up Justin.
Yeah, Chad pops in every month or so and gives us some really juicy inside information on what Justin's up to, and then just drops off for about a month, and then pops back up and jumps off, and pops back up and jumps off. So he has some disloyal people in his inner circle that are they're not afraid to share some good hilarious.
They're afraid. It's not that they're not afraid. They are afraid because they weren't afraid that idea themselves, but they're driven enough that they need to talk about stuff. So, it could be that once a month they get to go out to like McDonald's and use the free Wi-Fi, and it's like
they get let out of the dungeon. They get let out of the dungeon, so they run over and use the free Wi-Fi to go ahead and.
Mr. Lanasa let me out for my 1 day a month to get sunshine. Free internet. I don't know.
Anyway, so that was the big news this week was D&D Beyond, bought by WotC, and also there's been a lot of talk in the last few months about Hasbro about WotC being separated from Hasbro, but then they just came out this week and said no, that's not going to happen. So that's interesting. That's interesting too. The fact that even be talking about it because as of late, WotC's been bringing in a lot of money. For a while, Hasbro was just like, yeah, WotC, whatever. I mean, we're a company worth this much money. You're bringing in this much, yeah, whatever.
Right.
But that's increased. 5th edition D&D. I mean, just a whole confluence of things have come together to make WotC is not chicken feed anymore. Definitely.
Well, you know what? It was only a couple of years ago, I believe, I read an article where the Dungeons and Dragons brand, that part of Wizards of the Coast, was valued at around $20 million or $25 million.
Yeah,
it wasn't a huge amount.
Chicken feed.
They spent $146 million to buy D&D Beyond, which means that they believe that D&D is worth at least that much, probably twice that much. And if it's worth that much, and they made that kind of investment, I can guarantee you that they're either going to have to buy out one of the major VTTs and Roll20, which they're heavily invested in already, but they're giving money. Every sale, they got to give a share of that to the Roll20.
Right.
Fantasy Grounds doesn't have the same huge following, and the problem with Fantasy Grounds, in my opinion, is that Fantasy Grounds isn't web based. They were D&D Beyond. It's all online. It's all standalone. They're going to want something that can interface with that. I don't think that's going to be Fantasy Grounds. Other people have thrown out Foundry and other things, but Roll20 already has 10 million people as part of their user experience, their user base, and over half of them are paying 5e on this platform. The synergy is there, and if they're willing to spend 146 to buy D&D Beyond, and by the way,
sure.
If you don't think this wasn't in the works for a while, remember that the creator / founder of D&D Beyond left the company, a year ago?
Yeah.
To form his own company, which really hasn't gone anywhere. But and I guess he got bought out for a couple of million. Imagine if he was still there, how much this would have been worth if you were still the controller. How much your stock value would have increased. 146, not leveraged buyout, by the way. This is cash, which means that Hasbro has cash. And if Hasbro has cash, to go back to another topic we've been talking about, new TSR, they're willing to spend 146 million, not on a company, but on one part of a company, an IP and a programming team. I wouldn't want to be fighting them in court right now over something that's a little fugazi. So
not only that, this might explain why WotC was finally pulled the trigger on curb stomping Lanas and them.
Yeah,
that they don't want any kind of confusion in the marketplace at all at this point right now.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, and maybe this is a little like my inner dreams coming out, but I think that when, not if, but when Wizards of the Coast either acquires or develops a VTT, I suspect, because they're already doing this on Fantasy Grounds, I suspect they are going to support their older rule sets. They're going to support 1E, they're going to support BX, they're going to support 3E, because they know there are players of those games, and if they're going to be selling the print on demand and PDFs themselves, it isn't that going to be that much harder to put these rule sets into that base and then give you the marketplace where you can buy it and give them all the money.
Right.
So, and would it be compatible with your OSR rule sets? If you're playing BX, can you play use your Swords of Wizardry rules with the BX rule set online?
Of course you can. Of course you can. Yes.
If you're playing Osric, can you use a 1E rule set? Of course. This is all, come on, we've been mishmashing rules for a whole generations already. So these things are all ground balls. But there's a lot moving here that isn't just what we're seeing with this acquisition. I'd be very surprised if we don't see something else happening in the next 6 months, either where we get a VTT announcement that they're going to be developing one, or it's being developed, or that they're acquiring one of the players. Now, Foundry might be a good choice because they're kind of underserved, but people go, oh no, Pathfinder players all go to Foundry. Well, if that's the case, then maybe it's even a better choice. So then you really smack Paizo. That's the other piece of news that we didn't talk about. Paizo now is putting another adventure path out for 5e.
Oh, that's right. Yes, because they finally decided that why are we fighting this? Why are we doing everything possible to fight this when that is the easiest way we can possibly make money from our old? It didn't make any sense. They would have done that a long time ago, except for pride. I mean, that's all I can think is that they were for a long time. So for those who are not familiar with this, which I'm sure most are, but WotC did Paizo a bad when they said, yeah, well, we're not going to publish Dragon Magazine anymore or Dungeon or anything like that. And by the way, you can have this 3.5 shit. We don't want this anymore. We're doing 4.0, and that's going to be the big gorilla here. So Paizo, all they did was they turned Pathfinder to the best-selling RPG for several years in a row, outselling D&D and outsold D&D, folks. They were the 500-pound gorilla suddenly.
Yep.
And they did not let they won any awards. They did not let WotC forget that. Yeah, you gave us this little piece and then told us to F off, and look what we've done with it. We've made all this money, and we're the best selling RPG, and we're the most played RPG. And then 5e came around, and now the tables are turned, and the tables turned so quickly and so incredibly that not only was 5e the best selling version of D&D ever published, nobody was playing, or Pathfinder wasn't growing. People were still playing Pathfinder. A lot of people played it. It wasn't growing, and to the point where they got desperate enough that they went ahead and they put Pathfinder 2.0 out there, which
Right.
from everything we've seen has been an absolute disaster. It's not brought anybody in. A lot of Pathfinder fans looked at it and said, yeah, whatever. I already paid $1,000 for my Pathfinder 1 books. And guess what? Pathfinder 1 works perfectly well. And I don't need your Pathfinder 2 books, because from what I understand, I don't play Pathfinder, but it was not backwards compatible. And that was a huge mistake. Huge mistake.
Right.
Yeah. As Joe said, nobody wanted to buy the same book, two concurrent game systems. And yeah, that's true. And then like, for instance, when D&D 2.0 came out, you could still play it with 1E. Now, when 3A came out, you couldn't play that with 1E and 2, which led to a huge schism in the gaming community. That's when the old Grognard said, see you later. We're going to go in our dungeons and our closets and play 1E and 2E forever. We're not going to worry about 3E. When Pathfinders had, we've chronicled their issues over the past year. They've had labor issues. They've had all kinds. Just all kinds of stuff has gone wrong.
And those labor issues are important, because Matt Melman says it's entirely possible that Wizards of the Coast would actually bring Paizo into the house too. I don't see that happening, because the moment they accepted the union, they became poison. I don't think any other company wants to pick them up, because if you bring in a company that has a labor union, that labor union does not go away. That labor union seeks to expand. Wizards of the Coast is not going to bring in a company into the fold that has a labor union. So that I don't see happening. Could they bring him in as a licensee? They don't need to, right? Paizo can write for 5e anyway. So I don't see that happening either.
So what was discussed when Pathfinder or Paizo let loose a huge part of they've been shedding employees right and left over the past 4 or 5 years.
Right.
They're just getting rid of employees because they don't need them right now, because Pathfinder is not selling the same way it was. One of the suggestions being made is, why don't you turn your adventure pass into 5e? If you did that, you're guaranteed a huge amount of sales. I mean, put Rise of the Rune Lords 5e and see what happens. It would be a huge success. Right. And they just resisted it. Said, nope, not we're not going to do it. We don't need to do it. We don't want to do it. And that might be because it was the only card they had. It may be that was, once you do that, that's it. You're over. You're telling everybody that we think 5e is as good or as better than our own system. And I can see why they didn't want to do that. And it makes perfect sense why they wouldn't want to do it. But I think in the end, making boatloads of money overtook everything. And that's what converting Adventure Pass to 5e is going to do. It's just going to make them a lot of money. The material's there. All they need to do is convert the material. Maybe some new artwork, maybe not even any new artwork. I don't know. New artwork in there.
Convert, layout. Listen.
I mean, layout's not easy. We know that. Garrick and I know layout's not easy. But, it's much easier to do it on something that's already there and it's already been done, and you're just fiddling with it than it is to start from scratch. And that's what they would be doing, is just, look, this is already laid out for 3E. Now we want you to lay it out for 5E. We want you to do the rules conversions. Boom, boom. We just made a lot of money.
So Joe Kirshner is making some valid points about, potentially splitting their fan base. But I don't know too many Pathfinder 2 players that are actually also 5e players. Usually there's a pretty big split between those two houses. There's not much of an overlap, maybe individual players, but certainly not with groups. Groups tend to find one or the other. My personal experience from the people that I know is, if you're into more crunchy stuff, you're going for Pathfinder, whether it's Pathfinder 1. The complaints I've heard about Pathfinder 2 from Pathfinder 1 players is that it was an attempt to turn Pathfinder into 5e while still keeping the crunch, and they don't like it. So I don't know enough about either system to say
There's a
not.
Kingmaker's another. Joe mentioned Kingmaker. Kingmaker's another mega campaign that would be great for 5e. And I agree with Joe when he says that. Yeah, you don't do this. This is not going to be a 5-book series. This is you put this in a big hardback or a box set, however you want to do it, and you do the whole thing at one time, and there you go. You have a 5e campaign there, and I just think that there's so much potential in with that over the next few years. And I honestly, I don't even know what Paizo's doing now. I mean, are they publishing? They're still publishing new material, I would assume, but you just don't hear about it like you used to. It's not the big title grabbing stuff that you used to hear about for years and years.
Well, I think here's the issue for Paizo. When you had Pathfinder 1, even with 5e, you had a huge amount of companies that were supporting Pathfinder. When you went to Pathfinder 2, the number of companies that were supporting Pathfinder shrank. Mm-hmm. So, but it gave Paizo a bigger share of the Pathfinder pie because they were the ones putting out the stuff, and there wasn't a lot of third-party support. They don't make money off the third-party support directly. Third-party support, in theory, is supposed to drive more sales for them. It could be that Pathfinder 1, it had reached a saturation point, and they weren't making money off it, and that they needed to survive. I always felt that Starfinder was the attempt to find another money maker, and it just didn't succeed. I think the rollout was pretty poorly planned, but Pathfinder 2 was a poorly planned rollout when I know for a fact third-party publishers found out at a game convention that this thing was imminent, and they already had products that were coming out. It's like, wait, I'm publishing for a game system that's going to be dead in months?
There was a lot of bad feelings about that, and a lot of really pissed off people because that's a lot of money that they just flushed. I know for a fact the companies canceled products over that. Projects that they had already spent a lot of time and money on because they found out that, oh, wait a second, the system we're writing for is going to be obsolete in a few months. Well, there's no point in doing this, and they just simply canceled the projects, which they've already, they put a lot of manpower hours in, et cetera, et cetera.
That all sucks. So you didn't earn a lot of support from third-party publishers with that. Again, I don't know if their business plan for 2E was as dependent on third-party support. Maybe it isn't. Maybe that's not the type of business they're trying to look at for 2E. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know anybody at Paizo, so I can't even give you inside information like I can on a lot of other stuff because I don't know. So it's just spitballing. Trying to catch up here on the comments. The Kingmaker thing is done. It was funded a while ago, and a 5e Munster book was part of it. I guess we're still waiting on that.
Was that that wasn't a Kickstarter though, was it? I don't think that was a Kickstarter.
I don't
was
know.
It Indiegogo? I don't.
I know there was Savage Worlds Adventure Path that was a conversion that was a Kickstarter.
Well, the third-party support, Joe brings a point there, third-party support for Paizo games dried up. And that's exactly why it dried up, Joe, because they had broken promises already, and there was nobody that was going to go ahead and support Paizo after that because they got kicked in the nads. You got kicked in the nads once, you don't want to get kicked in the nads. There's no point. There's no point in supporting a game like that.
Somebody kicks you. I've been kicked in the nads. You don't go back for more. You kind of like, I like to avoid it. By the way, Ty, I'm in the Poconos, so there's no green halo. There's an actual back porch door behind me, and poor lighting. I should bring some lighting up next time. I didn't think of it like that.
Big sun lamp. Just have that going.
Maybe then I look very pale. I don't know. I'm almost caught up. You had to type fast. I got to catch up to you, so don't worry about it. Should Paizo sell off its IP assets and close shop if the union is a poison pill that Hasbro would not want to swallow? Again, I don't think anybody would want to swallow that at this point. It is a poison pill, and I'm sure it's good for the Paizo employees now. the question becomes, how long does Lisa Stevens intend to still be in this game?
Mm-hmm.
She might be ready to actually fully retire. I understand that she's kind of less involved than she used to be.
Yeah.
But if she wants to fully retire, does she sell her assets? And how do you sell them? Do you sell them piecemeal? What makes you the best profit? What works best for the company? I don't know. I don't. I don't know if I don't think Wizards of the Coast. Honestly, they're they're not looking to be developers of anything. They might. I don't know if they want to even be involved in bringing Paizo stuff, converting it, and putting it out for 5e. I think that they're happy that Paizo's doing it.
There's been rumors for a while that WotC doesn't even want to publish books anymore. They just want to publish the rule books and then let all kinds of third parties and or third party contractors publish adventures and supplements and all that stuff. And they don't have to do that. They don't have to do it. That they just make the money just rolls in and they're doing very little work.
Right. They're happy to get their core books out. And again, we're looking at what 2024 for the big anniversary for D&D.
Yeah.
So, and they have a winning system. They're not going. People are like, oh, it's going to be 60. No, it's going to be the same rule set presented differently, re-edited, relaid out, new art, with the changes that they've already made in the lore or the alignment system or whatnot. But is it going to change the mechanics? The mechanics are not changing. They work. Why change it?
Yeah.
They've seen Paizo flounder with going from 1e to 2e. They've seen themselves flounder going from 3.5 to 4e. They're not going to want to repeat it. 5e has found a success that they could only dreamed about with 4e. And by the way, talking about 5e, remember with 4e was supposed to be the system that was going to have an integrated VTT and have digital assets, and you buy every digital mini. You want 4 orcs? They're 25 cents each, or whatever it was going to be. That was the game plan. You think that they've given up on that game plan? They haven't. They're just going to do it better this time.
Right.
Not just have
what's actually been proven that people will do that. For a while, VTT, even though it was being accepted, was kind of like, yeah, that's a great idea, but will people really do it? And then COVID changed everything. COVID stuck us all inside of our apartments or houses for 2 years with just twiddling our thumbs. And it turned out that, guess what? People will play online, man. They will play on the hell out of stuff online. And so that just was like, oh, wait a second, hold on. Now this VTT stuff isn't going to go away. This could be huge if marketed correctly. And that's exactly, I think, what we're seeing here too.
Yeah. Ty, edition changes are inherently risky. I agree. Wizards of the Coast is unlikely to abandon 5e anytime soon. There's no reason to do so. And remember, they with the DMs Guild, they make money without lifting a finger. They make money for the work of individuals, right? It's just, it's that, I'm just taking the wool off, the golden wool off that sheep, and it just keeps on spewing and spewing more golden wool, and I keep on winding it up. It's literally free money.
Yeah.
Again. When they decide that they need to make more money off of physical books, they will reboot 5e, new look, new wording, but the system is not changing. They're not going to invalidate your prior books, but if they do make all the support material coming from them into digital only, what's the problem with digital only? Well, they can do stealth changes to your material, and you never have the original source. I'm going to keep it as the inside joke. Remember, Mike, when Luke shot that guy in the bar? I know, Han Solo. But that was before the. We were talking about beforehand. I'm like, Luke, and Mike's like,
it's Han, not Luke. It was Han, and it was Greedo. And who shot first? Well, Well, for those of us who saw it on the screen back in 1977, Han shot first. Of course he did. But
Right.
Lucas didn't really like that as years went by. No, Han's not that kind of person. So he changed it up, and then the next release had Greedo shooting first, and he missed. And then Han shoots him after he missed, which is fucking bullshit for those of us who saw the original thing. But guess what? The lie becomes truth. It's 1984, kids, because you can't, unless you are looking hard, you can't find a video that shows Han shooting first. Well, that could be the same thing with in the future if you just have digital books. That's why, look, Kindle's done this before. Kindle has done this. You could have purchased a book and you log into Kindle one day. Oh, the book's gone. Why is the book gone? Well, we took it off for whatever various reasons. This has happened before, by the way. This has happened. There one time there was a translation of a book, and I can't remember what it was, and there had been some questions about the translation. Yeah, they didn't really do this right. And the next day when people log into their Kindle, that book was gone off their Kindle. No, sorry. Book's gone. Book doesn't exist. Went down the memory hole. It's gone.
But I paid for it.
Well, we'll give you credit. Here's $5 credit in the store, but you don't have that book anymore.
Credit. I paid good inflationary cash that was worth more when I spent it than it is now.
What are you talking about? That book's not there. I don't know, sir. What are you talking about? There's no book by that name. I don't know what you're talking about. So
it never existed. You don't know
never
what
existed.
It never existed.
No. And so that's why it's always good to own physical material. And I told this story before. I have a really good friend who, a few years ago, he got on to this. You know what? I'm selling my entire. This guy had a gigantic DVD collection. I'm selling all my DVDs. You know why? Because it's all going to be streaming in the future. All you're going to do is turn on your TV and stream it. If I want to see a movie 24/7, I can just turn on my TV and my services and I'll just stream the movie. I don't need to take up this wall with all these DVDs. And they sold all their DVDs. They sold their special edition RoboCops. They sold their special whatever. I mean, anything. Boom, sold. They were so excited and so happy. Here we are in 2022. Guess what? If you want to watch Avengers, you better have Disney Plus because you can't just call it up streaming. Guess what? I was telling Eric this earlier. I don't even know what system you use if you want to see RoboCop. Where's RoboCop streaming from? It's not streaming on Netflix. It's not streaming on Prime, Amazon Prime. I don't even know what service streams it from. Now we have these 85 different services that all stream different things. Hulu streams different things. CBS is Star Trek. Now, if you want Star Trek, you better have CBS, right? Because the CBS streaming service is the only place you can get started.
Paramount Network, I believe.
Paramount, yeah. I mean, so all this great thing, he thought he was doing a great thing by getting rid of all the physical data. Well, guess what? He can't watch his movies when he wants to watch them now because he has to have that streaming service, and he doesn't have 85 streaming services. So it's always worth something to keep physical product in-house because you never know what's going to happen out there. You just never know.
I still have my VHS of Spinal Tap.
Okay, Ty's right. Kindle deleted 1984. Yes, that was the book I was thinking of. Apparently the translation of it or something wrong with it was that they didn't like that version of it, so they got rid of it. So irony of irony, 1984 was deleted off of Kindle.
Well, Joe makes a valid point too: is that you don't own your Kindle books or cosmecology purchases. You license them. Well, that's basically what's going to happen with Wizards of the Coast. You'll be licensing a lot of this stuff. You don't really.
Well, did you see? I don't know if you saw this, Eric, because you're not tuned into the comic scene. But did you? I don't know if you saw, but they changed Comixology changed some Conan comics because they were racially insensitive, and so they had the scenes side by side. What they changed. So apparently, there's one scene where there's a woman that has this big headdress with all these feathers that come out of it. That was seen as racially insensitive to Native American tribes. So Comixology scrubbed the scene, and now she's got this little blue hair things coming out. They got rid of all the feathers. No more feathers.
But only you could have feathers. You can't have blue. It's not natural. But all right, never mind.
But anyway, so unless you own the actual physical material, you would have never known there was a change made because they changed that stealth. And so you just don't know what they're going to do. You don't know what future generations are going to find offensive or upsetting or whatever, and you don't know what they're going to change. It's always good to own physical media. And I know, look, for a long time, I was thinking what a cool thing would be to have all my comics on digital. That would be so good. I would do that, but I would also I would probably copy it all to to PDFs or some kind of hard file and put it on my computer because I am not going to trust Comixology to keep everything the same. I'm not, just like I wouldn't trust WotC to not WotC's changed stuff in the last few years. I mean, we've talked about that at length, how much they've changed stuff in old products. That they've removed words, they've removed stuff. I mean, the Ravenloft Vistani is not good. Oh dear God, that might be the G word. We can't have the G word. Can't use gypsies. How dare you, sir? How dare you? And so they changed that all up. I mean,
are we going to change the Fleetwood Mac song now?
I think Fleetwood's. Well, they probably. I don't know. We did use. I
just heard the song today on Sirius XM. She's a gypsy. I'm not going to sing because nobody wants to hear me fucking sing. But I just heard it on Sirius XM, and
I'm going to report you.
Are we going to? Listen, right? The current topic du jour on social media is the use of the terms Dungeon Master and Game Master, and is it correct?
I've got a controversial take on that. So you go ahead first, and I've got a very controversial take on that.
Well, I mean, yes, you can substitute judge. I mean, judge was often used in the old days, and I guess DCC still uses judge or referee. I guess Gary, when he was talking about Game Master, the Dungeon Master, something you could copyright or try trademark and get it out there. How relevant is it? Well, we can't use Dungeon Master in any of the books that we publish, right? Because it's a trademark of Wizards of the Coast. So that's why people use Game Master. But you have Game Master guides everywhere. You're going to rename them? I don't know. But Mike, what's your take on it?
I have no problem with the words Game Master. And the reason being is because if I'm running Top Secret or Star Frontiers, I don't have a dungeon. Calling someone a DM is just confusing. It does, and it honestly doesn't make any sense. If you're running Traveler, do you call the guy a Dungeon Master? The guy running Traveler? No, you don't call him a Dungeon Master. I mean, I have no problem. I talked about this a little bit with Eric right before we started. I'm writing my own old school clone. It's going to be called Old School. I don't know, Old School Light for right now. It's going to be OSR Light. I'm writing my own version, and I owe a lot to Eric and his work on Swords and Wizardry Continual Light because I'm basically stealing his good ideas in here and making my own. It's meant to be stolen. But I looked at my thing. I'm like, why am I using? I don't really like Dungeon Master. I changed everything to Game Master. I think Game Master works fine. I know some of the old grognards are actually having shit fit. Oh my God. Here's the big one. They're not. Oh, they're getting rid of Dungeon Master.
But here's the thing. Are they getting rid of Dungeon Master because Master is an offensive word? Does it mean that chess players that are Grand Masters are going to have to be Grand Referees now?
Now, that's stupid if you're doing it for that because so if you look at the definition of master is not. There's different definitions of master. A master can be somebody that is a master. And a master electrician, for example, right. That's somebody that doesn't mean you're ruling over all the other electricities and telling them what to do. It means that you're that good. That's
you're knowledgeable. Level. You are knowledgeable to the time that you are a master at your craft.
That's just dumb. It's by the dum-dums and the hot. Look, this is another thing by the people who don't play the game, who are not actually in the hobby. They just try to find something to whine about, and that's just something, So that's not the word use of masters doesn't bother me. It's the people who are like offended because you use Game Master instead of Dungeon Master. I just don't get it because you're not kicking Gary Gygax in the face and saying we don't respect everything you did because we're not going to use Dungeon Master. It's just because it's a different. It's just it encompasses more. Game Master to me encompasses more than Dungeon Master. And like I said, I wouldn't use it if I was running Top Secret. I wouldn't use it if I was running Boot Hill. I mean, there's all kinds of games that you run that you don't call the guy a DM. And just because you're running a fantasy RPG, I mean, do you call the guy running Lord of the Rings a Dungeon Master? I don't think that'd be weird.
There's a GM. I use GM more often than I use DM these days, especially for non-fantasy games, OSR games, I tend to default to GM, but I don't give it much thought. I've been using these terms interchangeably since like 1979, 1980. Probably 1981 when I first picked up Gamma World as my first non AD&D purchase, and I was like, oh, they weren't called Dungeon Masters there. I believe they were called Game Masters. So it was used interchangeably a lot of the times. But just like you tell people, yeah, I play D&D to mean you play role playing games, right? It's like a generic term in a lot of ways.
So a couple of comments here. Matt says, well, the Dungeon Masters isn't any more knowledgeable than players. I would disagree with that because I think when we started out, well, you started out back in the 70s, your Dungeon Master actually did know more than you did. And because they had probably been playing it for a few more years than you. And I know that when I was Dungeon Mastering games back in the 80s and even 90s, there was plenty of time when I was the most knowledgeable person at the table. I'll tell you when that all changed. And this is a huge seismic change in our hobby. When 3E came out, I remember going. So I didn't know much about 3E. When I remember going to the game store and watching people play 3A, and all they did was argue for 2 or 3 hours because I realized for the first time ever in history, pretty much, the DM was on an equal footing as the players. They had both received the rule books at the exact same time. This DM was no more knowledgeable about the rules than the players were. He couldn't say, well, I've been playing 3 for 8 years. I know what I'm talking about. No, he couldn't because they had all just gotten their rule book 6 months earlier. He had no more experience than anyone else did. That's why, to me at least, every time I watched a 3 to 3.5 session, it was always an argument. It was a 3-hour long argument because nobody was willing to exceed any kind of authority to the Dungeon Master.
Right.
Whereas when you played back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, yes, I was definitely the most knowledgeable person at the table many times. I'd be playing somebody in 90 in 98, and I've been DMing for 20 years. And somebody else said, oh, I just started playing a couple years ago. Well, yeah, I know more than you about this game because I've been playing a lot more. So I think that's changed in the last few years with the fact that now when we have versions come out, I mean, look at 5e. I don't know more about 5e than somebody that's been playing 5e for 6 years. I've still never played 5e. So yeah, I wouldn't go into a 5e game saying, I know about just as much as you do. I don't. Even if I've read the rule books, I don't. So I think that it depends. I think for the most part, you expect the person running the game to have a little more knowledge than you do. Now, that's not always the case. And there's sometimes people run the game that don't know what they're talking about.
But written rules lawyers don't necessarily know the rules better than the GM. They just know
they just know. Yeah, they just know how to take a
The best hair in the OSRs is in the house. Ben Barsh.
Oh, finally, where's he been for the? Oh, he says hi to Ty. Yeah, okay. Hey Ben, I mean the 2 boomers on the screen. Everyone else is wow. What the hell? I guess
I guess I got boomer hair today. It was humid. It hit 70. It hit 79 here in the Poconos. I was like, it's like I should be in Texas with temperatures like that.
Did we ever have Ben Barsh penciled in for an appearance? Because I want to scratch that appearance out right now if we ever had that penciled in. Because
I don't know, man.
I'm seeing a lot of disrespect.
He may have to make a personal appeal at the next North Texas.
Look at all this. It's just disrespect. And first of all, Eric and I are not. We're not boomers. We don't consider ourselves boomers because we came at the tail end of the boomer. Whatever. I don't consider myself a boomer. Sorry.
I'm definitely not a boomer.
And you're not. So that's just an unfounded insult there to call us boomers. We're not boomers. So, but that's typical of young people like yourself that you can't count above 50, so you don't know how you don't know what age people are, how old people are. So whatever. And I agree with Matt. Strictly speaking, I think much of the boomers are actually Generation X. I think I would throw in with Generation X.
Yeah.
Because I am on the tailest of tail ends of the boomers to the point where I don't even have the same interest as any other boomers that I would know because most boomers I know were born in the 50s and forget it.
I was born in 67, so I'm solidly Gen X.
You're solid Gen X. I was 63, so I think the boomers go to 64, but that's not right. No, there's nobody born. Nobody born in 64 has the same kind of lifestyle as somebody born in 50. I'm sorry, it's not the same.
Yes, Ben, there are numbers above 50. If you drew a paycheck, you might know that.
Uh,
Oh,
wow.
sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
We
The
had to
numbers
say that.
above 50.
How big of an audience is the RPG hobby? Like, how many regular tabletop RPG players are there roughly? Anyone have an idea? We know that RPG Now has 10 million accounts, supposedly active. Doesn't give you a number that you could run with, but it does tell you that the 10 million people know that Roll20 exists. Maybe half of them are active. Still a lot,
Well,
and that's just
I,
people that are playing digitally.
I'll tell you that years ago they thought they had reached the. I know when 3.5 had come out, they thought they had hit their maximum audience for playing D&D. I mean, there was a lot of articles on that. Like, yeah, this audience can't get very much bigger. We probably reached peak, D&D players. From now on, everything from here on out is going to be digital. People aren't going to play tabletop games anymore. They're not going to play pen and pencil games. I mean, Eric and I, we've heard this stuff for the last 20 years. Where this is it. This is not going to get any bigger. And nobody predicted 5e. And 5e
No,
came out, and it just blew everybody's, predictions away, because it turned out that audience is a lot bigger than anybody thought, and it has the ability to get a lot bigger than anybody thought it would. And and I think pretty much it hasn't stopped growing at all. It's still reaching new people. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, you look at Critical Role. I think you look at, I really think a big part of why the hobby advanced so much was the appearance of D&D in popular culture. Once you had D&D on Big Bang Theory, any number of popular culture things that really pushed the idea that, look, this isn't just a bunch of nerds anymore. This is kind of cool. It's kind of cool to play D&D. And by the way, being a nerd's not considered a bad thing anymore. Being a nerd, people are proudly nerds now. And I don't think everybody saw that one coming, right? I mean, that was something that just kind of popped out of nowhere.
I don't mind explaining to my fellow I'm the youngest of retirees. My fellow retirees are mostly boomers at my local pub, and it's like, oh yeah, I went to a gaming convention. What, to play poker? Like, no, to play Dungeons and Dragons. Like, they have conventions for that shit. Yeah, they do. They have some concept of what it is, but not a lot. And then you kind of explain it, and it's like, oh, okay. Still makes no sense to them. But by the way, Ben, my hand doesn't cramp for writing checks because I know how to do my online banking.
Wow.
I've actually forgotten how to write a check. Knowledge that you never had. So, just like probably writing cursive, probably the only thing Ben can write in cursive is his name on a check, because he probably has to print the rest. Sorry.
I'm gonna have to call Bill. Bill did a terrible job of raising his son. I think I would have to talk to him about that. So apparently somebody didn't get spanked enough when they were younger, because they like to talk back against their elders, which is really sad.
Well, the problem is Ben looks down on his elders because he is so effing tall. So yes, that could be an issue. That could be an issue. It's a good thing we actually like him, but then again, we know him when he was a little. Well, still.
Well, I would get you the call to defend my honor, but I'm not sure how to do third way calling, Ben. I don't know how electronics work. I'm sorry, I can't get you in there.
Yeah, sorry.
But no, but anyway, no, the we were talking about the popularity of D&D and et cetera, et cetera. This has reached at this point. I think we're also looking at the sky's the limit. I don't think they know how far things are going to go. That's why you're seeing. That's why this D&D Beyond thing, I think, happened, because WotC was really dumb about not controlling all this stuff from the get-go. They should have been controlling their own PDFs. They should have been controlling their own VT. I mean, they should have had a handle on all this years ago.
They screwed it up with They should have, but they screwed so much up with 4E. They decided to take 5E, do it well, and then let others do the other extra. Remember, they farmed out their the dragon? Oh my god, the first hardback, the Dragon Horde or Horde of Dragons, whatever.
Oh yeah. The Tyranny of Dragons.
Tyranny of Dragons, whatever. They farmed that out. They might have published it, but it wasn't written in house. It was farmed out because they were not taking any development in house except for the actual rules. So
Mhm.
it was probably wise for what, but now with the money they're making, they're leaving money on the table by leaving that
Sure.
stuff farmed out. They need to bring it back within. By the way, Dandelion Games points out this was I saw the trailer, although it had like Italian subtitles. I don't know why. It was on Emerald. Stranger Things
Oh.
announced the new bad guy, the new big bad for season 4 will be called Vecna. Um, I just want to see one of the main characters cut a hand off so they can put on
Well, the
or
interesting.
poke an eye out. You know,
So straight. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Stranger Things. My wife and I have probably seen the first Stranger Things 5 times. I mean, we loved it. I mean, that was just really cool. But Stranger Things. When did season 1 come out? Let me see if I can find it. 2016. So that's 6 years ago, right?
yep,
So the first season had a lot of D&D tie-ins, right? A lot of quite D&D tie-ins. The Demogorgon, blah blah. Season 2 got away from that a little bit. Season 3 really got away from it, from the point where they were joking. The one kid kept asking, "When are we going to play D&D again?" You know, and everybody else
yep.
is like, "Yeah, we got girls. We're hanging out at the ball. You know, we don't have time to play D&D anymore." In the last 6 years, D&D has got really popular, and I think they're leaning way back into this. And by the way, talking about popular fiction, D&D, Stranger Things was another thing that popped up right about the time of Big Bang Theory that talked about D&D, that got D&D, acceptable in the modern world. And I think they're going to lean back into it because D&D is more popular than it was in 2016 even. And
Yeah,
and I think that that's a good time for them to lean back into it and say, "Hey, yeah, we're going to go back to, having some D&D stuff go on." I actually thought that I know a lot of people who are into Stranger Things got kind of mad when they didn't lean harder into the D&D aspect of it as the seasons went on. But I thought that was kind of interesting because for those of us who played D&D back in the 80s and 70s, you did kind of have this core group of guys you played with. And as you got older, you kind of drifted off, right? Some guys found
yeah.
girls, some guys found cars, some guys got jobs. Everybody kind of drifted out of the group. And you had this period of everybody kind of wandering in the wilderness. And, maybe you found a different group when you went to college. You found some new people to play with. Or maybe you didn't. I mean, how many people do we know, Eric, that didn't play for 10 or 20 years? I mean, a lot of them. That
My
they
whole
moved,
yeah.
they gone away. And so right now, people are coming back to the hobby, haven't been there a while. So I thought it was really interesting that Stranger Things kind of showed that whole dynamic that, yeah, we thought that was cool a long time ago, but you know what? Now we all have girlfriends, we've got jobs, we just don't have time to do all that. So I didn't think that was a bad deal. Oh, look who's here. Ben's daddy Ben's dad Barsh is here. Bill, we need to talk to you about your son. He's
Yeah,
showing a
you
lot of
kind of
showing a lot of disrespect, and so I just I thought you might want to give him a talking to at some point.
or a beating, but that's well, actually, it's too big for that.
But anyway, so I
Yeah,
think that's
occasionally you can
interesting. That
borrow. Mike has it.
I think I think Stranger Things does a really good job, and I think a big part of it is the brothers that make the show. That they're very tuned into what they want to do. They don't seem to be very influenced by outside sources. They're just kind of doing what they want to do, which I think is really cool. And I think they do a good job. And I love the way that everything they do in the show kind of parallels the 80s stuff because they kind of leaned into the Cold War Russian stuff, the last Stranger Things 3, which I thought was kind of fun. But yeah, I think it'd be fun to have them roll back into a little D&D stuff and see the kids playing D&D around the table again and all that stuff. I think that was a really good coda for the whole series.
Uh, Paul asks, "Have we seen the trailer for the Quest coming to Disney Plus?" No, I haven't. I'm gonna have to look for it though. Hmm.
The Quest. What is the Quest?
I don't know, but it sounds interesting. It sounds vaguely fantasy-like,
Oh,
and
but it's
not.
Disney. Oh, it's Disney though. Oh, I'm boycotting Disney. No, just kidding.
Oh, first episode of Moon Knight wasn't bad. I was a little confused, but it wasn't bad.
I'm saving him up. I'm gonna wait till 3 comes out. Then Christy and I are gonna
Okay.
watch it. But we're because I know that with her knowing nothing about Marvel Comics, I think the first episode would really confuse her on its own. So I want to be able to watch 2 or 3 in a row, to kind of get her going in there. Same thing with Hawk. We watched Hawkeye, and she didn't really understand what was going on, but we watched 2 or 3 episodes at a time. And once she's like, okay, I kind of got this. But yeah, I think the same thing with Moon Knight. I think if she watches 1 episode, we have to wait a week. It's just not going to work. So.
Now, have you seen Peacemaker on HBO?
Yeah, I have. My wife would absolutely hate that, but I
Rach loved it, man. She loved it with me. She was like, "Oh my god!" She's like, She goes, and not to be political, but she goes, it's a rare show that can poke the left and the right equally hard and be funny doing it each time.
The writing is really good in that show. It's really good, and it's also I like shows that are able to shows like that are genre shows that are saying, because this is why everybody loved The Mandalorian. The reason everybody loved The Mandalorian was it was a genre show, it was a Star Wars show that you could watch without knowing all the little individual parts.
Yep.
But if you were a big fan, you were like, oh my God, I can't believe this character. Yeah. And you got all the in jokes and all the insight stuff that the regular person, because that's the way my wife and I are watching it. We're watching The Mandalorian, she's watching it as, hey, this is a really cool, Western / whatever. But I'm sitting there going, oh yeah, that's this character, that's this. And I'm trying to tell my wife, that's what this is, but you don't know what this is because you didn't read the book, or you didn't, so they didn't. Oh yeah. You can watch on two different levels, and you're perfectly fine either way. And that's what a good show is. What a good show is.
Yeah. It was, one of the best parts for me was like, Reach, you know who that character is? She goes, who? What? He's the sheriff. But no, he's the sheriff from Deadwood playing a sheriff in The Mandalorian.
Right. Uh-huh.
I was like, oh my God. So I was like, this is perfection.
And they've got all kinds of, if you haven't seen any of the cartoons, you don't know why the guy has the black lightsaber, but if you've seen the cartoons, you're like, okay, well, my wife's not seeing any cartoons, she has no clue, but it just looks, so they didn't stop and explain that. But if you're really into Star Wars lore, you're like, oh, that's so cool, he has that, lightsaber. And so I think that's what a good successful genre show does. And I think the MCU movies, they're very successful. I think they did that to an extent too, is that, hey, I know who Captain America is. I've been reading Captain America since I was a small child, this and that. Well, my wife has no clue. So you want to present Captain America as something she can understand, yet you want to give me a little bit too, because I've been a fan for a long time. So the MCU movies are really good at doing that. They were really good at saying, hey, here's some little winks to you fans that have been around a long time.
Wow, Mike, we've been on for over an hour and a half for a show where we have no special guests.
And no reason to keep talking. We're just talking to talk. We just keep talking. We don't stop.
Because we got great questions or great comments coming from the live. We've mentioned this before. I will never stop thanking you all for this. The live crowd, the live feedback that we get is second to none. I swear to God.
Oh, sure, definitely.
You keep us on our toes. You call us on our shit if we get something wrong. But you do it in a nice way. By the way, Eric, you got that wrong. Here's the guy. All right. Thank you. But we need it sometimes. But you guys, insightful comments, good questions, and good information. So I really am thrilled. But again, before we wrap this up, and I'm not saying we're going to wrap it up just yet, but remember, $100 bounty on anybody who can get me Star Frontiers, No Good. Next Genesis, New Genesis,
the beta,
the beta, the one that's actually coming out theoretically from New TSR. $100 drive-through RPG bounty as a gift certificate for anybody who can get me that.
Does it exist? We want to know that it exists, and if it exists, please find it for us. We would love to see it.
Yes. No.
We don't think it exists, but it may exist. So if it exists, we'd love to know.
Yes. Secrets of Blackmore. It is a great documentary. I've watched it 2.5 times.
Wow. I still have it on my meant to watch list on my Amazon Prime.
It's very good. It's very good.
I need to watch it. I mean, it's been sitting there for weeks now on my list. I got to watch it.
St. Cuthbert, we are a lawful neutral cloud. You get what you deserve, but with good tendencies, I think, according to one of the write-ups for St. Cuthbert, right? Some of the churches are lawful neutral, some of them are lawful good. It's a little confusing.
By the way, can I pimp North Texas for a second? Just because we're just rolling
deny.
around.
Of course.
April 15th is our general sign up. Up to now, we've had early sign up, which costs $5 a ticket. Starting 8 p.m. April 15th, which is Friday night, I believe. It is Friday night.
Oh my God.
It's general sign up. So if you think about going, you haven't signed up for any games yet. It's going to be all hell breaks loose at 8:00. Everybody's going to be on their computer punching games in there, trying to get signed up.
Better than 1. So that's 9:00 Eastern.
Right. 8:00 Central, 9:00 Eastern.
Better than 1 a.m.
Yes, because due to popular demand, Gary and I changed it this year. We're going to see how it works. All the games posted now. Games will be posted up until May 1st, but I think Gary is going to get every game that has been sent in. Yes, will be posted by April 15th. Now we still have some people that say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to submit a game. I just haven't done it yet." If you're trying to get that in before 15th, it's probably not going to appear on there. But we still have quite a few games on there, and quite a few seats are going to be open. They're going to disappear really quickly. So some of the games will disappear very quickly. You know, so some of the stuff that has been run by our more popular guests will disappear quickly. Now, did you decide? Did you sponsor a room? Did you already give us the money for that,
I did
Eric?
not give you the money for a room. No, but I'm going to just toss money at the con. I know I'm bad.
You could. I think. Well, Gary's. I think you can still sponsor. You can still sponsor a room. I think. Okay. I don't know which room we have to sponsor, but we have several rooms, so we'll have to talk to Gary about that.
So we'll figure it out.
You know, we got the midnight auction has been sponsored. This is a plug for Etten Games, David Donahue Etten Games, a game really good game store in Houston, Texas. Actually, it's in Humble, Texas, right outside of Houston. He has sponsored the midnight auction this year for $666. Nice. 666. So Satan is being sponsored. So we will be sure to give David a lot of props during the auction and probably make fun of him a lot too. We've had a mystery offer by somebody else to sponsor the Devilettes for the midnight auction once again for $666. So I am not allowed to release the name for this person and or company yet, but we may have some pretty good sponsorships this year. So that's going to be good. But yeah, if you're interested in going to North Texas, looks like COVID's way down. We keep having 1,000 less cases as each week goes on. The cases keep lowering and lowering for COVID. So I think we're going to be out of the COVID crosshairs for at least a while when it comes to come June. And we're down. I think we're down to a couple hundred tickets, maybe less than that. So yeah, definitely check us out, North Texas RPG Con, and see if something you might be interested. But a lot of the people that comment here go. Dandelion Games will be there. The Barshes will be there. There's quite a few. Yeah, quite a few people that comment and talk in here. Ty Beard will be there. Ty Beard will definitely be there.
Yeah. So James, I'll be the guy wearing the wrestling outfit from the yoga video. So we're gonna we might auction that off. So
let's not do that. But I mean, you never know.
Listen, if it makes money for the con. Listen, they put a lobster outfit. The least somebody could do is.
Last year, Eric wore a lobster costume, and who bought that? Somebody bought the lobster costume. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't know what you'd ever use that for, but somebody bought it. So
I don't know. I think you'd burn it, but it's just.
Was it comfortable when you're wearing it? I mean, was it?
No.
No, it's not at all, is it? No.
No. I will say my glam rocker / wrestling outfit that I did yoga in was extremely comfortable.
Oh,
that was very comfy, and it was stylishly attractive. So I mean, if you want to role play a member of like Van Halen or Twisted Sister, or or like maybe like I don't know, Superfly Snuka. That era of wrestling, it's a great outfit, and hey, it raised over $1,000 for St. Jude. So I mean,
Gosh, I don't, man, that's crazy.
I told you this is a great community, man. It really is.
Yeah, it is. And that's one good thing to count on. And
All right.
a couple. Oh, I want to have one more thing of business here.
Yep.
For a frequent guest on the show, Lloyd Metcalf, he has a GoFundMe up right now. I'm just springing this on you. I don't even have the link to it. We'll get the link up there. Lloyd has needs to get surgery in his mouth. He needed to do this for years, and he's kept putting it off. He's going to have to fly to Costa Rica to do it because, unfortunately, it's too expensive to do medical procedures in the United States if you don't have insurance. It just is.
Right.
All my relatives that live in South Texas, they all go across the border to Mexico to get their teeth done. It's so much cheaper there. You don't have to pay the insurance costs. Lloyd has a GoFundMe up right now. He needs about $17,000. He's got about $3,000. I noticed last time I looked at him. If you could toss him a few bucks, $10, $20, whatever. The Doug Ray Memorial Fund gave him $100 earlier tonight, and so that's because Doug loved Lloyd. Doug was a huge fan of Lloyd, and he would have. Doug might have paid for his operation for all I know. I mean, Doug was that much of a fan of Lloyd. But yeah, if you can, Lloyd's a great guy. He's a big part of our community. He's a good artist, great illustrator. If you can, I'll try to get that link and give it to Eric, so Eric can put that up. And but yeah, if you could toss him $10 or $20, that'd be great. He really has a really bad mouthful of teeth. He's got to get pretty much all his teeth pulled out and replaced. So if you could toss him some money, that'd be great. It's like you said, it's a great community. I've already seen somebody gave him. I mean, he's already gotten some really big donations, which is really good.
James wants to know why you limit sales to 500 tickets. It's the size of the venue, and it's pretty much the size that the con.
So when Doug and I were starting this out, we did not want to have to hire staff because we wanted this to be like the kind of conventions we used to remember as a kid. I mean, one of my favorite conventions I used to go to every year as a kid was a comic book convention that probably had 200 or 300 people. Maybe they had 500 or 600. And I just loved going there because it was cool. It wasn't fancy. It was just a bunch of guys with comic book stuff set out. And it was all about comic books. And that's what it was about. All these guys that are talking about comic books. Nowadays, you go to these conventions, they've got, 14,000 people. They're not about games anymore. It's about entertainment, right? It's not a game convention. Gen Con's not a game convention anymore. No. Dragon Con's not a game convention. And we just wanted to have this kind of convention we remembered as kids. And also, we didn't want to have to hire staff or have to spend a lot of money, dealing with stuff. And once you start getting over 1,000 people, you got to do a lot of work. It's not as fun. You've got to start doing work, and it becomes a real job, so to speak. And we just wanted to keep it small and exclusive. And also, when we first started out, we were concentrating on old school OSR games. I remember this is 14 years ago. And at the time, 3.5 was the big 500-pound gorilla. And if you didn't have that at your convention, we had people tell us we were insane that we didn't have 3.5 at our convention. We didn't want to do 3.5. We wanted to do old school gaming. So we were honestly never thought we'd ever get up to 500 people. We thought there's no way we're going to ever get more than that that's going to want to play old school gaming. But, look what happened. The OSR happened. Old school gaming came back into vogue, and here we are. So Gary and I aren't looking at going past 500 people anytime soon because we don't want to have to hire staff either. We like doing it ourselves and like it being, relatively. I mean, and Eric can tell you, it's cool. You go to our convention. There's no VIP rooms. There's no secret place. If you want to see Errol Otis, you got to go buy a ticket and come in here. No, everybody's just hanging out. They all have breakfast together. Everybody has dinner together. Everybody's just there. And that's what you get when you get a convention with 500 people. Once you start getting, as big as Gary Con or Gamehole Con, stuff like that, you start getting people, hey, where's such and such? I haven't seen him. We have so many people here that I don't even know, that this guy's here. And we don't ever want to be that big. We don't want to have that. So that's one of the reasons we've stayed at 500 people. Are you worried NTRPG will become a boutique convention that excludes the common gamer? I don't think so. I don't think Gary and I are going to let that happen because that's something that Doug would have not wanted to happen. If we get to the point where we start filling up at 5, now remember, we've been doing this for 14 years. We've only had close to 500 people twice. We came like pretty much almost 500 people, and that was before COVID. So until we start hitting 500 a few years in a row, we're not going to worry about it. Now, if we hit 500 a few years in a row, we'll see about letting more people in. But we've never turned anybody away at this point. Ever had to turn anybody away. Yeah, as Gary, look, Gary just put that. Gary, we're at 312 right now. We've got 2 months to go. I don't know if we'll sell out. That's an extra 190 people. We may sell out, but we probably won't. But we're gonna do what's possible to get. Gary says no. He doesn't want more people. We had 481. I think that's the most we ever had was 481, and that I don't even know if that counted walk up, Gary. We had quite a few walk up that year too. So, we'll see how it goes. But we want everybody to have the best time and be able to come and have fun. But we don't want to be. We don't want to work. We don't want to work that hard. Let's put it that way.
That's good.
Gary and I are lazy. This isn't a real job.
No, you guys bust your asses for this con. So I mean, honestly.
This isn't our real job, though. This is not our real job. We already spent a lot of time doing it. We really don't want to have to be here all the time doing it. So we'll see. We'll see if we hit 500 a few years. We'll see what happens.
Oh my God, they're gonna have to move to like a bigger city like Dallas.
No, we're not moving to Dallas. No matter what, we will not move to Dallas. Oh no, no. I'm looking up Lloyd's. Oh, here we go. Okay, I'm going to send you a link here. If anybody's interested, he's at 3,300. He's at $3,300. That's not a good deal. Okay. He needs at least, I believe, talking to Lloyd, he needs at least half of this to get started, because I think the dentist is letting him pay half up front and half, so he needs about $9,000 before he can get started.
Okay, Mike, send it to me on Facebook because.
Oh, Facebook, okay.
Yeah, because that way I'll put it into the actual show notes and I'll pin it as a comment. I'll put it as a comment, so when people. After come back after we finish like the show and go peek. There we go. Mike just sent it to me. Come after the show in about 10 minutes. It'll be a pinned comment and you can go help Lloyd. We appreciate it. I love Lloyd. I've known Lloyd for a number of years. I own a number of his original works. I think him and Doug Kovacs are the ones I own the most original pieces of artwork from. So
I forgot I had this piece of Lloyd sitting around here on my desk. I have no idea if Lloyd gave this to me, if I bought it or whatever, but it's from I think it's from, it might be from Whisper Venom. I'm not sure. So I think that is from Whisper Venom, if I remember correctly. So
that was
yeah. We love us some Lloyd. So yeah, if you get a chance, throw a few bucks his way. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. So here, I'll put it up on the screen real quick. But like I said, I'm going to put this in the as a pinned comment after this.
Gary, I wasn't saying, when I said lazy, I meant myself, not you. You are not lazy, Gary. You are working 3 jobs. I'm barely working 1 job. So
don't look at me. I'm retired. I don't plan on working any fucking jobs.
No.
God bless you all that do. And my son goes to me, you should just take a part-time job at Delta and you could fly for free. I go, dear. You know what? But I can be retired for even freer.
Mm-hmm.
So, holy shit. Folks, again, thank you. An amazing show that is nothing to do with Mike and I. It's everything to do about you all. So thank you. Mike already touched on COVID. Listen, you have common sense. You say your characters have common sense. They wouldn't throw that fireball into a 10x10 room. COVID's gotten a lot better. Use your fucking common sense. I'm not telling you what to do. If you're an adult, with the exception of Ben Barsh, who, he might still have to have his father sign his permission slip.
Wow. Ooh, burn. Ouch.
I suspect Ben's left the room anyway, so.
Yeah, he's doing so. He's at a rave or something.
It's past his bedtime.
Oh man.
He's got to be in bed before 10, so he has to brush his teeth.
Yeah. He's gonna watch Cinderella before he goes to bed tonight. He watches a Disney movie every night, so I think Cinderella's in the queue. So, but next week, Joe Block.
Joe Block. We've got a new Kickstarter coming out with the old ones. Cthulhu influence for your OSR. Should be a lot of fun, and Joe is very knowledgeable about Greyhawk stuff. So, Come with your questions.
Yes.
We'll make sure he answers them, or at least try to. Other than that, be safe, be well, God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well. I am enjoying myself in the Poconos for another couple of days, but I should be back in time for Friday, and I believe, I believe that Glenn and I have a special guest this week.
Ooh, I'm interested.
It may have something to do with a green-covered OSR book that begins with an M and ends with lands.
Can I Yes, I love that.
I know I just may, in my fact that I'm up here, be off by 2 weeks. I hope I'm not, but we do have Glen Seal lined up. But whether that is this Friday or 2 Fridays hence,
you had Glenn on. You had Glenn on last week. Does that mean this week is the other guys, or are you?
No, I had the other guys last week.
I thought you had Glenn last week.
No, I had.
Ben's right. We're too old for this. Oh my God.
Yeah, no, we can see now. You're gonna make me look at my YouTube channel. Hold on a second.
I think we had Glenn last. I think you had Glenn last.
No,
week.
I don't think so.
I really do. I really think you did.
Random party was April 8th.
Oh my God, I missed it. I completely missed it. I missed that show. Oh my God.
Joe's brother even came in.
Don't tell Ben about this, whatever you do, because he'll just use it as an excuse. I'm old and I forget things.
Oh,
don't tell him. Don't tell him.
He'll bring you like a ginkgo biloba for your here instead of paying for my admission. Here, this is for you, Mike. To help you for your memory. All right.
Thanks, everyone. We had a great show. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week with Joe Block.
Yep. Or if something really big in the industry happens, we'll be back earlier. But
maybe we'll get that beta. We might get that beta for
Star Trek. Get that beta.
We'll have to read it out. We'll have to read it. Read it out loud online.
Oh no! If we get the beta, I'll have to run it with like you and Skeeter.
Oh God, that was such terrible. No, I don't want to do that again. That was so bad. I hate it so much.
All right, folks. We're out of here.
Goodbye.